Hearts gone astray, deep in hurt when they go. I went away just when you need me so. You won't regret, I'll come back begging you. Won't you forget, welcome love we once knew. Open up your eyes, then you realize, here I stand with my everlasting love. Need you by my side, girl, to be my bride. You'll never be denied, everlasting love. From the very start, open up your heart, feel that you're part of everlasting. I need a love that's gonna last forever. I want a love that's gonna last forever. Come on! Well, life really flows, no one really knows. There's someone there to show the way to lasting love. Like the sun it shines, aimlessly it shines. You always will be mine, if eternal love. Whenever love went wrong, ours would still be strong. We'd have our very own everlasting. I need a love that's gonna last forever. I want a love that's gonna last me forever. Open up your eyes, then you realize, here I stand with my everlasting love. Need you by my side, earth to be my pride. You'll never be denied, everlasting love. From the very start, open up your heart, feel that you're part of everlasting.
Started from. Love is good, love can be strong. On the bank of the river stood Running Bear, young Indian brave. On the other side of the river stood his lovely Indian maid. Little white dove was her name, such a lovely sight to see. But their tribes fought with each other, so their love could never be. Running Bear loved little white dove with a love big as the sky. Running Bear loved little white dove with a love that couldn't die. He couldn't swim the raging river, 'cause the river was too wide. He couldn't reach little white dove waiting on the other side. In the moonlight he could see her throwing kisses across the waves. Her little heart was beating faster, waiting there for her brave. Running Bear loved little white dove with a love big as the sky. Running Bear loved little white dove with a love that couldn't die. Running Bear dove in the water, little white dove did the same, and they swam out to each other. Through the swirling stream they came. As their hand touched and their lips met, the raging river pulled them down. Now they'll always be together in that happy hunting ground. Running Bear loved little white dove with a love big as the sky. Running Bear loved little white dove with a love that couldn't die.
What's the sense in sharing this one and only life, ending up just another lost and lonely wife? You'll count up the years and they will be filled with tears.
I said, find it, run and love it if you like it. Yeah, hell, it's your business if you want some, take some, get it together, baby. Come and get your love. Come and get your love. Come and get your love.
I grew up in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I came to North Dakota on a football scholarship, and then I interviewed out in Casper and was offered a teaching job, so I came out here. People are great here. Wyoming's a great state, very giving, very open, very friendly. I like everything from swing all the way from the 30s to 40s, but generally 70s and 80s rock. My favorite band, Thin Lizzy, grew up with them.
Come home, you've been away too long, will ya? We need you home, we need you near. Come back, wild one, will ya? How can we live without your love? You know that could kill ya. And how can we carry on when you are gone, my wild one? Follow. And if you change your mind, I will be waiting here for you tomorrow. For I would beg for you, I would steal, and I would borrow. I'd do anything at all to end the sorrow.
I guess explanation. Is there any explanation for this? Should there be an explanation? It's the 60s, man. Love, not war. We're here just to tie-dye, have fun, kick back for a couple days, and just be. Just be. A lot of times we get caught up in this materialistic time, deadlines. Just come to my class and be for an hour. You can find a date, whether it be on the computer, hey, zoom out. Or, voicemail or whatever, all the power to them. Happy Valentine's Day.
Okay, reason number 6, I hate Mr. Matsey. John Carpenter films. Okay, not bad. The Fog, Adrian Barbeau, you bet, but to fixate on his films, I don't know. He's got some loose ends. And that other crazy film where the little guys come out of the bigger guy and they attack him, like Lilliput. Number 5, he's short. Number 4, he's probably more talented than I am. Probably. Number 3, he's got a funny goatee. Number 2, he stutters. And probably the number 1 reason I hate Mr. Matsey is he's in the basement and it's cool, and I'm in the upstairs and it's
How could
hot.
you hate Madsy? He's awesome.
I just told you why I hate him. I hate Matsey. He's a card-carrying communist. Ask him. He's a Marxist.
You can laugh and joke with friends, but don't you ever talk to strangers. Although their offers may be sweet, I'll bet now we'll wager away and stray and never come back to those who love and me.
The Who, Led Zeppelin. Generally like music that isn't about slapping booty. Top two films, North by Northwest, Alfred Hitchcock. Probably the scene where the crop duster comes down and tries to kill Cary Grant. It's epic. I also like the movie Strange Brew. It's a Canadian about two guys that just want to get free beer. And my favorite scene from there is when they're caught in the mental hospital and the older brother steamrolls the little one. Steamroller come in, steamroller come in. Favorite day of the week? Well, Fridays are good, and not for the obvious reasons, because it's the end of the work week. It means, you know, you can eat large and sleep late the next day. Sundays because of NFL and just hanging out with my dog. The Stand is one of my favorite books of all time. Poor Boy Steakhouse is a very good place to eat. Good ambiance and really good food. The people I work with, some of the most talented, devoted, passionate teachers. A lot of them are my friends. I've been here a long time, so it is fun to come to work every day and hang out with your pals. The kids are okay. I mean, teaching would be so much better without students, but I guess I can't have that. I'm kidding. I'm here for the children.
minutes, 525,000 moments, so dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter and strife. In 525,600 minutes, how do you measure a year in the life? How about love? How about love? How about love?
Good afternoon. We gather here today to celebrate the life of our friend, our brother, and most of all, our teacher, Jeff Jelskey. Here's Jeff's story. He was born December 5th, 1963, the youngest child of Ron and Gloria Jelskey in Bentendorf, Iowa. In 1973, the family moved to Calgary, Alberta, Canada, where he graduated from Lord Beaverbrook High School in 1983. He played junior football in Canada and returned to the U.S. under a football scholarship at Minot State University in Minot, North Dakota. Go Beavers. From 1986 to 1991, where he played defensive lineman and consistently started his Mark Mundo Monday, and later served as a graduate assistant coach. He was captain his junior and senior year, was named to all conference his senior year, and Mundo wanted us to let you all know his team took second place in the state recreational basketball tournament in North Dakota. Jeff moved to Casper in 1992 to teach at Flight School, which closed before the school year began. He was then hired on to teach modern American history at NC and coached soccer at NC and football at Dean Morgan. Founding teacher of NCHS Lab School, which provided a supportive, structured environment for at-risk students. He taught personal and social responsibility classes after school, where he shared the students the value of community service and showed them a better way to live. He gave his summers teaching summer school every year to make sure kids got enough credits to graduate. And in 2004, he married Cindy Jensen and became a stepfather to her children, Kara, Ryan, and Cammie. They later moved to Lake Havasu, Arizona, where he taught from 2005 to 2007 and was head coach for the soccer team there. After his divorce, he moved to Denver, where he taught at Rock Canyon High School in Lone Tree, Colorado. 2008, we're lucky that he returned to Natrona County High School, where he continued to teach until his sudden death. Jeff was a very passionate teacher. He loved engaging in vigorous debate with his students and colleagues, using sarcasm and humor to make a point. It wasn't uncommon for Jeff to walk in on another teacher and bring his insight to their classes, and sometimes he'd bring you a Diet Pepsi. Sometimes. Most often, he'd be the one taking it. His teaching methods utilized music, movies, television, and other cultural means to bring history to life for his students. And the joke was always, "You showing a movie today, Jeff?" "Yeah, but there was a point." He faithfully attended every one of my NC Theater productions. He went to the film festivals. He displayed their posters on his classroom walls. Jeff was always a supporter of the underdog student and would do anything for a kid in need. Anything. And many of you are here today. He was instrumental in bringing Vietnam veterans into the school to share their stories with students. He was generous with his time, his money, and his resources, and he never expected a thing in return. Instead, he insisted you pay it forward. His presence here at the school, in our lives and in the lives of his family, will be forever missed and never forgotten. Now, that's the story that we could put in the newspaper, but there are so many more. My name is Zach Schneider. I am a student of Jeff's and a theater teacher here at NC. I don't say former student because this man taught me so many things, even up until the last moment I saw him. I first met Jelskey, and I don't think I ever called him Mr. Jelskey. It was always Jelskey. I first met him at 7 a.m. the first day of my junior year in modern American history class. Here I was, a smart-ass, long-haired, combat boot-wearing, flannel-clad drama kid, or thespian, as Jelskey would love to say. And here is this giant, goateed, polo shirt and khaki-wearing former college football star telling us that this was his first class. As my high school friends can attest, and some of my colleagues now will say too, I have a habit of saying things that can either derail the teacher or get my class laughing, or both. It's no wonder I'd be a drama teacher. Under normal circumstances, this could have turned out to be a very long year for both of us. But it turns out Jelskey was not a normal teacher, and he never backed down from a challenging kid. He pushed and he pushed until he either got through to you or you just couldn't stand his intensity. For those of us who loved to debate with him, we saw how much he loved us. For those who couldn't stand the pressure to either defend their ideas with facts or those who weren't ready to begin thinking in a different way, I hope now that they can see that he loved them too. He was doing the best a teacher could do. He was teaching us about life. Today, we come together to share the very thing that ruled Jeff's life: stories. You see, Jeff saw his life and the lives of every single one of us in it as collections of stories to be told and retold and shared, to be cherished. He used people's stories to connect to students in class and in life. When Jeff introduced you to someone in his life, he had a story to share about you and a story to share about them. It was his way of not only helping you bond with that other person, but it was really a way to tell the other person why he loved you so much. And boy, did Jeff love a lot of people. And I think we should all take a page from his book and show them every single day, because he definitely did. As teachers, a lot of attention is spent on the top 10% of an academic class. A lot of attention is paid on the stars of the football team and the basketball team and the kid who's the lead in the musical. And while Jeff connected with those kids, he spent most of his time trying to connect with the young mother, the kid who had to get his brothers and sisters ready because mom was passed out on the couch, the kid who slept in her car, the gay kid, the kid on probation. Jeff loved them the most because he saw himself in them. Yes, he was smart, and yes, he could play sports, but he also knew what it was like to grow up with an alcoholic father, to be challenged to fights because you were an immigrant, and to be written off because you dropped out of high school. But more than just knowing where these kids came from, he also knew the heights to which they can aspire, making a difference in the lives around them, enjoying time and golf with his friends, coming together with family, treating his friends as close as his family, and most important, that each and every one of our stories matter. And while today is a day for sharing stories, please help me make sure this isn't the last time you share a story about our friend Jelskey. He was a wonderful spirit of a man, and I truly hope that his passing reminds us, each of us has the power to reach out to that quiet one in the corner and to embrace that loud smartass in the front row, because each of them has a story to tell, and each one of those stories is worth listening to. Amen, Jack, amen. And now I would like to introduce to you one of Jelskey's closest friends, his brother, Scott Marietta, to say a few things about our brother Jeff.
Yeah. All right. One on the right? Okay, thank you. I don't usually talk at a podium. Usually I'm got my hands going and I'm walking around the room. But I just realized as I watched that montage there of why Jelskey liked to hang out with me so much. Because standing next to me, he made him look like Fabio. Without the hair, of course. Right? So, thank you all for coming. This is wonderful. it's not so wonderful why we're here, but we're here because of him. And that's really what the part is wonderful about it, okay? So thank you all for coming. I want to welcome Mark and Ron, his brothers, Skipton, his nephew, Uncle Galen, right? And one of his best friends from way back, grade school, Jerry Young. So they made a long trip. I know many of you did as well, and we appreciate and we thank you for that. So we're here to celebrate the life of Jeff Jelskey, right? Jelskey, Uncle JJ, Double J, lots of names for this man. I had a few of my own, but they're probably not appropriate in this venue. Oh, Jeff! Oh, thank you. How did I don't know how I ever started. My habit won't stop, by the way. If you went to the soda machine and you didn't get the other one a soda, there was going to be trouble. So when you went, you got two. I can't remember how many times he came to my room with 30 cents. And he's like, I'm short. I need 30 more cents. All right, here we go. He did always ask, though. He didn't just open my door and take it. Not that I would have cared, but... So Jeff was taken from us by natural causes. Obviously, much, much, much too soon. He left a gaping hole in my life, in my world, and in my heart, as I'm sure he has done to you as well. Jeff was my male soulmate. We had so much in common. Now, oftentimes when people think of soulmates, they think of, but Jeff and I weren't physical. Okay, not that there's anything wrong with that, but to quote Seinfeld, that's just not what it was, right? He basically was my non-DNA brother. Okay, both of us had sisters that died when we were each 19, affected our lives. We had lots of talks about that and dealt with that. We both had alcoholism in our families. Okay, and how we dealt with that. Difference between the actions of those people, okay, that had that. We both became teachers later in life, which I think gave us kind of a different outlook on what this was all about, okay? We didn't just jump into it because we needed a job or whatever. We got into it because we knew that this is what we were destined to be. And he certainly was destined to be a teacher. We also shared a love for the good things in life, all right? Golfing, we love to golf, right? Oh, love to golf. So anybody that comes into my room and when my computer goes to sleep or whatever they call it, I don't know, you'll see golf courses. And these were all golf courses that Jeff and I and my other brother, Mitch, who is my brother by DNA, would go to, travel to, and just have great times. We also like to eat, okay? And I know that this is being podcast, and you all know that the camera adds 10 pounds. And I know that the people that are looking on the podcast are saying, well, how many cameras are on that man? I get it. I know, okay? We also used to like an adult beverage, but never more than 2. All right? We always knew when to stop. All right? Yeah? By the way, if you thought you were coming here today and not getting a history lesson, well, you came to the wrong place. All right? Because that's what we do. So here you go. All right? So the song Amazing Grace was written by a man named John Newton. John Newton was an English, he grew up, born in England, grew up in England. He had some troubles as he was young. He almost drowned one time. But as he grew up, he made his living as a slave trader, okay? He was hauling slaves across the ocean. And he did this for, 20, 30 years or so. Eventually, he gets out of the physical aspect, but he still continues to bankroll the slave trade, all right? At one point in his life, he starts to think about redemption, I think. and think about what's my role in the world, and what do I do? How do I make it a better place? Okay? Later on in John's life, he becomes an ordained minister. He seeks out the Word of God. Okay? And at that point, he writes one of my favorite songs called Amazing Grace. I think this song is a song about redemption. Okay? Some of Jeff's great friends are now going to play Amazing Grace, and I'm going to come back and explain why I think it relates to Jeff's life.
Now we have shaken it up a little bit. We have a more modern arrangement of this song that has some of the same words. Some of them are different. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be, as long as life endures. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. His chains are gone, and He's been set free. My God, my Savior has rescued me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The earth shall soon dissolve like snow, the sun forbear to shine. But God, who called me
Thank you. I get unleashed now. Nice. So, first of all, Jeff loved music, okay? And he loved literature, and he loved expanding his mind. He loved thinking about things in a new way. Now, some of those people. Oh, sorry. For those, see, I'm a rookie at this. For those people that got into political debates, you wouldn't always think that he accepted that information and used it, but he in fact did. So, John in his life never really admitted that he sang this song for redemption, but I think if you look at the words, it's pretty clear that he was seeking something. Okay, Jeff Jelskey, as I will call him, was on that same path. Now, obviously, Jeff wasn't a slave trader, right? He didn't ever do anything that horrible, all right? But there were some mistakes in his life, right? Some things that weren't exactly the way he wanted them to be. And so he set out on a path to try to change that. And not only did he want to try to change that for himself, but he wanted to try to change that for other people as well. Okay? So there was an act of redemption in what he did for other people, how he treated you, right? The next thing that I want to address here is Jeff's humanity. I witnessed Jeff's generosity, his compassion, his humanism over and over and over again. I witnessed it sometimes so much that I didn't even realize I was witnessing it sometimes, okay? Earlier this year, one of our very good friends' father passed away, okay? He served in the Korean War, right? And so Jeff loved to talk about those kinds of things. It's history, right? So he went up to her mother and engaged her in a conversation about Korean War. First of all, he thanked her for his service, and then talked about how hard he knew that was for the father, okay? And so later that night, as I was sitting in my house and thinking about Jeff, I wrote him this text message, okay? And I did this periodically all the time. I feel now that I never did that enough, of course, but I did it, and then he came back with this. So this was his response to me. And of course, the last one there. I do this in class too, don't I? Stand in front of you so you can't see. It's the least I could do. Well, no, it's not the least you could have done. The least you could have done was nothing. But that was not Jeff. He always wanted to make sure that everybody was taken care of, that everybody was having a good time. That was the least he could have done. This was certainly not the least he could have done. The other aspect of Jeff was Jeff never wanted anything for Jeff. Jeff wanted everybody else to be better off. Jeff was happy, right? He had a lot. He had friends. He had a house that he loved. He had people in his life, right? We traveled. We did a lot of good things. He wanted everybody else to have those kinds of things. So whenever you would do anything for Jeff, he would always say, pay it forward. Give it to somebody else. Don't give it to me. I have plenty. Give it to somebody else. Make somebody else's life better, okay? And that's one of the things I want us to leave here today with, is that idea. Let's make somebody else's life better, right? A lot of times I think we get caught up in our own personal issues, and we forget about all those people around us. Let's stop a little bit today, okay? And think, and then act towards those people, maybe in a little more loving way than we normally would, okay? Jeff would really appreciate that. Jeff also loved literature. And not to the extent that Jeff loved literature, but I also love literature. It's one of those things that we could talk about over several of those adult beverages. Oh, I said we stopped at 2. Sorry, I'm letting the cat out of the bag. Always stopped at 2. All right? So Jeff loved literature. And one of my favorite authors is Steinbeck, okay? And I love the way that he just develops his characters, right? That you get these humanistic kinds of ideas out of these people, all right? And Jeff, well, one of my favorite books is The Grapes of Wrath. And so Jeff reminded me of Tom Joad in the book The Grapes of Wrath, right? The reason why is because both had a strong individual nature that gave them the strength to fight for the welfare, the social welfare of all humanity, okay? Jeff hated injustice in the world, and he tried to fix it. But Jeff was, like me, Jeff was never going to be president. So his way of fixing that was to reach out to students, reach out to people that he could get. And through them, he believed he was slowly changing the world. I believe that as well. Every single day I go into the classroom, I believe inch by inch I'm slowly changing the world. So, Jeff and I basically were like an old married couple, okay? And again, physical, now again, not that there's anything wrong with that, but we had been around each other for so long that we basically knew everything about each other, okay? I've known Jeff for 17 years, and for 15 of them, we were like this, right? Chances are, if you've seen one of us, the other one wasn't far behind, all right? I respect Jeff. I admire Jeff. I love Jeff. He is one of my heroes in my life, and he was one of my favorite people in the whole world. And so out of this, I want us to leave here with a couple of things. The first one, pay it forward. Treat people better tomorrow than you treated them today, okay? Second of all, those people that you have in your life that you love, tell them that you love them. Every day, tell them that you love them. And then, if you're close enough to them, give them a hug. And if they don't like it, tell them to shut the hell up and hug them anyway. And the last thing I want to take is that Jeff lived life like a king. Jeff wasn't a king, but he lived life like a king. He loved life, okay? So the last thing is yeah, he had troubles in his life. There were bad times in his life. But Jeff always knew that bad times wouldn't last for very long, that they would go away. And then he would be left with good times again. Sometimes I think we get bogged down in the bad things and we can't get past them. Just realize bad is only for a little bit. It'll stop. It'll go away. And then when the good times come, take a moment. Enjoy them. Embrace them. Stop and look. Have you ever heard the term stop and smell the roses? Well, stop and enjoy the good times once in a while. Because it's the only way you know how you're getting through the bad. I love Jeff. Thank you very much.
All right. So now comes the time. We have a couple of microphones right here on the ends of the aisle. And I know that Jeff would love to hear some stories that you have about him, because you know he had one about you. So we'll invite anybody who wants to come down and speak to do that.
Well, I first met Mr. Jelskey at the first day of summer school last year, and when he saw me, he said that I was intimidating. And from then on, we grew a bond, and he became another father in my life. and I was sick when I found out that he passed away. And it just sucks that he was gone so early. And I gotta sign up for everything, and now I'm graduating on time because he was almost the only teacher that he was probably the only teacher that actually believed in me that I would graduate on time. And he actually helped me a lot to get ahead, and now I have 21 and a half credits because I kept my promise to Jelskey.
Hi, I'm Kevin. The first time I met Jelskey was when I was in Mr. Ewing's class, and he walked in and he looked at my hat, and I always wear a Reagan Bush '84 hat every time. And he looked at it, and then he walked out, and the next morning I was in that class, and he came in and he handed me a Ronald Reagan calendar. And he said, "I think you'll like this more than I do." So I still have that Ronald Reagan calendar hanging up. And then ever since that day, I knew that Mr. Jelskey had what I had, a passion for politics. And being in a world where most of your friends don't know politics, and your family likes politics, but they're not willing to talk about 2 hours about it. They'll usually just say, "Kevin, shut the hell up." But Jelskey wasn't that type of guy to me. Jelskey knew that I loved it, and he loved it so every day we could talk about Trump, talk about, and there's sometimes where we just looked at each other, already knew what we were going to say. We were just going to look at each other and say, it's not good. But there's one time, I'll never forget it. I was walking in the math class, and he stopped me. And he wanted to congratulate me on the hoops for Syria, which we raised $1,032 and saved 110 lives. But thank you. But he stopped me and he said, "Kevin," he shook my hand and said, "I want to congratulate you." And then he looked around and he says, "By the way, you'll be the only Republican I would vote for." But sad part is that the last time I saw him, he stopped me and he says, "What do you think of the Russian investigations?" I said, "It's like Watergate, but it's Stupidgate." So, and then he said, "Kevin, I want you to come in my room and talk about it." Sadly, I can't talk to him about it. I lost my political buddy. And it's sad. Because now every day I can't come to school and have my CNN time. And for some people that don't know this, instead of saying going to the bathroom, I always say I have to have my CNN time. So I go to the bathroom and I watch CNN. It's weird, I know, but everybody does it. But the main message is if you have a passion and you find someone else with that same passion, stay with them. Because they're the only people out there that can help you never give up on your dream and never give up on that passion that you have. Yes, I want to be president one day. And Mr. Jelskey gave me a reason to never give up on that dream. And now I'm running not only for everyone else in this room, I'm doing it for Jelskey. And the last thing is, I heard this, and the last thing is, if Trump gets impeached, we know Jelskey's pulling some strings up there.
My name is Charity Knockham. I was, successful former student of Mr. Jelskey, and I happened to be in his classroom when I got into a car accident, and I had missed several weeks of school, and when I returned, I had to very slowly walk back to class, and he came, and my mom was with me at the time, and he said, if you ever need anything, please let me know that, because he said my sister was in a car accident, and he said, I know how hard it is to get back to school, and how awesome that a teacher would come to you and say, please, if you need anything, let me know. But one of my favorite moments when I was in his class is that someone gave him a Chicago Bears marker. And he said, oh, I can't wait to go home because I'm going to scribble on everything with this marker. And he was always very supportive of me because I've graced all 3 years of high school on that stage, and he was always very supportive of me. And I'm going to miss him just as well. So.
So even though this is just my first year at this school, I was in Louisiana last year for school. I met Mr. Jelskey on my first day at this school. And almost immediately after just almost 2 or 3 sentences, I could tell that, oh wow, this is actually an interesting teacher. Not just the usual lecture that I had last year with online school. I was really boring. Mr. Jelskey, it's hard to describe the humor he put into the room and all the mixed emotions, When he started talking politics and me being a Republican, I immediately started getting fired up, but I kept my mouth shut because that's what I've always been told to do. Maybe for the best. You truly never ever realize how much you love and treasure somebody and always wish you could go back in time right before they go to tell them, I love you, I'm going to miss you so much, I'm glad I got to talk with you, until the day they die, and you're just going there and wondering, what if I'd had that chance to tell them that? What if I had gotten to talk to them that one last time? It's hard to describe that feeling.
So a lot of people probably don't know me. I got here this year. I'm one of Jelskey's foreign exchange students. I don't know if I was the only one, but I'm pretty sure that I was. And I remember walking into his class, and as soon as he found out that I was a foreign exchange student from Germany, he got super excited about it. Because he really wanted to talk to me about the Berlin Wall and all that kind of stuff. And he was really excited about it and wanted to know a lot of things. And I would just come into his room before class, and we would just talk about all kinds of stuff. And everyone who had him in class, they know that he loves to rant about stuff. It doesn't matter what it's about. It mostly ends up in Trump, but he would love to rant. And I one day came into his class, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and we started ranting about Americans. It was great because even though he was American, he also felt Canadian, so he had a lot of stuff to say. And it was great because we just kept on ranting until class started. And okay, so I'm leaving really soon. And about 3 weeks ago, I think, I decided to write letters to everyone before I leave, and that included my favorite teachers, and he was definitely one of them. So I started writing my letter to him on that Monday morning. And it was until last night that I managed to finish up that letter to him. It turned out to be 8 pages. I'll try not to talk as much as I did in that letter, but it was really hard for me because it was the first time in a really long time that I lost someone. And I never thought that I would be this hurt about a teacher because I never was that close to a teacher because German school system, yeah. Again, you're not really close to your teachers, and I never thought that I would be that close, so it was really hard for me. And I wrote so much, and I could not stop writing about all the inside jokes that we had. And I see a lot of kids that were in my history class with him right now, and there's this one memory that he hated our class a lot. He really did. He hated all of us so much. But I remember this one time, I don't remember who it was, but this one kid in our class was acting up. And he just turns around to him and looks him square in the eye without any emotion in his face and goes, "This is why I huff markers." And it was the best thing ever. And it was just, he would always make people laugh, like even when he had bad days or when I had a bad day, I would walk into his class and I would laugh, like no matter what, because either it was just, he would make fun of us or he would make fun of Trump, or it was just so great. You wouldn't even have to agree with him on anything, but it was just great to listen to him talk about stuff. And I don't know if anyone saw them, but there were a lot of notes on the walls in the hallway. And I read through some of them, and they're honestly really sad, but then there's just things that people wrote there, like inside jokes. A lot of people know he would always make fun of teenagers in class. And he would always like make us seem like we're all really bad children. And he would just, his favorite line was, "Mom, where's my Hot Pocket?" Or, "What? I'm 13, I can do what I want." And it was just so great just listening to him. And I still think that he will just walk into class and be like, "Psych, this was just a joke, I'm here." Because that's something that Mr. Jelskey would just do. Just come into class and be like, "Well, I got you there." But it sucks that I have to leave in about 20 days and walk into his classroom and not being able to talk to him anymore, just ranting about Americans or all kinds of stuff. And I really don't remember what I even wrote yesterday night because I was a mess. But it was great, like the relief that you had talking about it. And even though like, it's just, I don't even know what to say anymore. It was really sad, and I hope that like people will remember him because he was a great person, and he was not a teacher to all of us. He was a friend. He was a friend to everyone. He was nice to everyone. And one thing that I remember on Monday when I found out, I had Miss King come up to me. And we were standing in front of Ms. Chavez's office, and Ms. King came up to me and told me that Mr. Jelskey talked about me a lot because I didn't think he would. And she just told me that he talked about me a lot when they were hanging out and that he thought really highly of me. And it made me really happy because I was like, oh, I'm just another foreign exchange student to him that's from Germany, and like that he can talk to about German history because no one else knows about that, obviously, because it's boring. But it was just like, and she was not the only one who told me that, so it made me really happy, and I really hope that everyone has good memories with him because I really do.
So I clearly don't know Jelskey as well as all the rest of you, but first day I came here, which was at the start of the fourth quarter, came up from Cheyenne, and my counselor showed me to Jelskey and asked him if he'd be my guide and show me around everywhere. And he comes up, pats me on the shoulder, and says, "I got you, kiddo," and led me around to all my classes and showed me where I'd be going for the next amount of time that I'm at NC with these classes. I'm not good at dates or stuff. So, but Jelskey was there when I felt really like an outcast and just a brand new kid to the school that I had no idea who anybody was. But Jelskey was a great guy who had a smile on his face whenever I'd walk by, and he just seemed like a really cool guy. I wish I could have gotten to know him better.
Hi. I had Miss Jelskey Black D block class, which is one of the last classes of the day. And I remember about first quarter, I had to go to a funeral because my uncle had drank himself to death. And I remember him sitting down and talking to me and telling me how to handle it. And he was so kind to me, and I will never ever forget anything like that. But my friend Ashley and I, we were in the class together, and I have a really funny story because I had a ukulele, and I would always be playing it before class because we had lunch before his class started. And we would start playing ukulele and playing it loudly, and he would always request songs that we didn't know. And he would be like, "How could you not know that song?" But one of his lines that he would always say would be, the kids in the back of the class would always be distracted and not paying attention to anything. And what he would do is he knew that he would say that you would rather have a screwdriver in your hand right now. You wouldn't want to be in this class. And he would always make fun of them because he hated our class. He hated it. But he taught anyway, no matter how much he didn't want to be there. And my friend Ashley and I will never ever forget just sitting in his class and playing ukulele, or helping him move desks over across to the Mac where all of his stuff had to be, and all of the books, the heavy books that we had to carry to his classroom. But I will never forget him, and he was a very big impact on my life, and I loved him very much.
Oh goodness, I never realized how short I was. I walked into Mr. Jelskey's class late, probably every single day. He would never mark me as absent or tardy because he was like, "Oh, I get it, she'll be late." I've never been a huge history fan because I walked in and thought, on the first day, it's just another history teacher. But then he said he wasn't a big fan of homework, and I'm like, wow, never mind. I regret being late to his class every day, but because he was different from any other teacher I've ever met. He always wanted to be there for, again, the underdog, and he wanted to make sure everybody was happy. And he was definitely an open book. So many people know so many things about him that we probably never really asked to know. And he gave out that information anyway. And he talked about Mr. Schneider a lot, how that was his student. And he was like, "That's how old I am. Look at Mr. Schneider, that was my student." And now they're just not, and then they became really good friends, and it's crazy how that kind of stuff works. He made me enjoy learning, probably because it's a bunch of videos, and not reading. He would always go off on a little rant, and we never actually could finish a video, even if it was 5 minutes, because he had so much to say. But I wanted to hear him talk more than the video because it just really spoke out to me. The last time I talked to Jelskey was, I was talking to him about how I went to the 9/11 Museum in New York, and he said that's the place where he wanted to go. It was on his bucket list. And he wanted me to show him pictures of like that experience and tell him all about it. I didn't get the chance to do that because the next day I had an audition and I didn't realize that would be my last day seeing him. He was just very loved by so many people. I've never really heard a negative comment about Jelskey. He smiled all the time, and he never really hated our class, which was surprising. I mean, he might have, but a little bit. He was just there for everyone. Even if people started like yelling at him and getting into arguments with him, like he was ready to like fight back, and he was like, he stood his ground for anything, and he just ended up being everybody's favorite teacher altogether. I'm gonna miss him a lot, and I just love history now because of him.
So, I'm Ashley. One story back. I guess half the reason all of us are wearing tie-dye is he loved the 60s, and he always let us tie-dye shirts. Well, another reason he hated our class a lot, we had a few students, the ones in the back that kind of didn't pay attention. They stuck their hands in the tie-dye buckets because they thought it'd be cool to tie-dye their hands. I don't think I've ever seen him yell quite that much at them. He did often. But I remember after class, him just being so upset that they just wouldn't care enough because he cared a lot about everyone's education, and it seemed like he didn't like those kids, but he did. And it's just different. Like, you think he'd hate the kids. They were annoying. But he cared a lot, and he'd get frustrated at them because they wouldn't learn, and you don't see teachers do that a lot, to actually yell at a student to do their work. Like, cuss words involved yelling. I don't know, he remembers his students. Like, I had him last year, and I don't know, last time I saw him, he waved at me in the hallway and said, "Hi, Ashley," and I don't know, it just made me happy that he remembered my name. Yeah, I'm really gonna miss Mr. Jelskey.
Well, Jelskey, he's been nice to me, like when he first met me. I was gonna miss him until I heard about him when he died. And it was sad. Can I go back to Mom? Okay.
So that's my little brother, Liam. I'm Abigail Schneider. I'm Mr. Schneider's daughter. I've known Mr. Jelskey for a good amount of my life. And being the daughter of a teacher means that I kind of get this really awesome giant family. And Jelskey was probably the coolest uncle ever. A friend of mine made this came up with this really good saying that a good teacher teaches you what to think, but a great teacher teaches you how to think. And Jelskey was a great teacher. And he taught you how to have a purpose, and you're only allowed to be an annoying brat and debate about things if you can back it up with some information. And he was a great guy for telling a girl like me who has always been too loud and too outspoken that I have great leadership skills. And so, I'm gonna miss Jelskey. Thank you.
So I met Jelskey in the middle of my sophomore year because I moved all the way from Denver, Colorado, up here to Casper, Wyoming, and I was thrown into his world religion class, which was a junior class, but it was the class I was taking down at my old high school. I was thrown into his junior class. I was the only sophomore. I was the most timid thing you'd ever have met. I didn't talk very much, and there were like 5 kids in my class, and they were all big, scary juniors, so I didn't talk to them. But Jelskey came up and he talked to me, and he was like, hey, how you doing? What do you want to talk about? And I would be like, oh, I actually really enjoy history. And I'm dyslexic, and one of the best things about his class is that we never had to read any of the books. I had 5 worksheets in that entire semester of that class. And I just remember that I had a really hard time getting to where I was at that point, and I didn't really know where I stood on a lot of stuff, like political issues, but I knew I wanted to get into that. And I just remember I felt really alone because I hadn't had the best dad in the world. But Jelskey stepped up, and he was kind of like a father figure. He's the reason I took so many advanced classes in my junior year and why I decided to get into politics. And I remember one time, it wasn't the middle of the year, it was the middle semester, but none of the kids were paying attention in class, and he just comes over to me and he's like, how do you feel about Fox News? And I was like, it's not my favorite channel. And then for the rest of class, I got to hear Jelskey's opinion about Fox News. So I'm just really happy I got to meet Jelskey, and I really wish I'd talked to him more, because I always saw him in the hallways, and I'd say hi, and I would be like, oh, I'm going to talk to Jelskey when I have time. And then I ran out of time, so.
Oh, wait. Oh, where's Scotty? I better put it back here. Don't give me a free mic. Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't let me just carry it around. So I'm Angela Orth. This is my sister Melanie. And I'm here to bridge the gap. I got to bridge the gap. And it's so cool that I heard Abby talk, and then, what was your name? Sarah. To hear one after the other, because, okay, I'm bridging the gap. That's, okay, somebody set a timer, please, because Galen, set the timer. You got to cut me off. 2 minutes, go. Yeah, okay. Okay, PD, I could talk, right? Where did he go? Oh, he's off. Oh, okay. Anyway, okay, so bridging the gap, my first interaction with Jelskey was the fall of 1986, and as a freshman in college, she was a senior. And I was this little, so I was kind of just rolling with the punches with big sis. Come on. I'm going to go straight to bridging the gap, because through all of those years that I've known Jelskey, again, like Zach was saying earlier, or Scott, I don't think I really ever called him Jeff. I think this week is the first time I've ever used his first name. It was always Jelsk or Jelskey. And I think of all of the years and the things, how our paths have intertwined from that fall of 1986 to now. And regardless of how much time passes between the time you see see somebody and then see them again, it's like you just pick up where you left off. There's a big gap between Jelskey and me, because when he left Minot, he left first, right? Mm-hmm. You left first. I left. Then he left, and then I followed. So it was kind of fun to come to Casper and find home here, 500 miles away. And Jelskey was a huge part of that. I had my sister here, but he was the person that I could hang out with that wasn't your relative, And we'd go hang out and go to her house for barbecues and all that. Well, fast forward to 2013, he had my daughter in class. And wait, no tears. So
when we would come down, my husband, he just left a little bit ago because he had to go to another, thing for one of our kids. But he is, I call him, he's a Jelskey friend by association. Like, he didn't have a choice. When he married me, well, you're going to be friends with Jelskey too. That's just the way it is. And I think there are other women in this room who could probably attest to that. Yeah. So my husband, I mean, I used to attend barbecues with Jelskey before, pre-Bernie days. But Jelskey just embraced my husband, embraced my family. That's just who he was. He loved everybody. He would challenge you, but he loved you at the same time. I have pictures, and it was on my Facebook page, but there he is holding, my 1-year-old at the time. And again, now fast forward, bridging the gap, now I will get there. She sat in his class her sophomore year. And, okay, this is a secret. Don't tell anybody. She was his favorite.
Oh, they all were.
Oh. That's how he was. Every kid was a teacher's pet. I mean, she would come home from school and she'd say, Mom, Jelskey loves me. I go, yeah, I know he does. He has to, because he loves me. Yeah. But, it was just, that's how he was with every kid. Whether it was my kid, anyone's kid, that's how kids came home from school. So it was really cool to just, all these years later, have my kid in his class. And when I talk about bridging the gap, I'm talking about all you old, you youngins down here. But this whole front row, I mean, Jelskey, we hung with you guys. And Jelskey's known you since birth. Yeah. He was an amazing guy, Uncle Jeff. And my Kennedy is, 10 hours away, so she couldn't be here, but she called me up. Her first response to me, though, was, she didn't do it on a public post. It was messaging. Sorry. Zach, where's my water? Anyway, she just said, is this for real? When she saw the post. And I think we still sit there and go, we're not sure if it is, but we're getting there.
Give us a few years.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm
Anyway.
going to finish you.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish what she started, but I'll do it really quickly since I don't have much of a voice. I wasn't going to talk, but now she made me. She made me. So I was, fall of '86, I was a senior at Minot State back in Dakota, and she was a freshman. Introduced her to Jelskey. I graduated that spring, and I said, take care of my sister. And 3 years later, I mean, she was in good hands. I wasn't worried. But the story goes to the fall of 1986, and I know I taught at CY Middle School for 20 years. A lot of my students went to NC, and they'd come back and say, Jelskey talked about you today. Well, I heard this story, and then my friend Marla a few weeks ago, maybe it was a couple months ago, said, I just heard that story. And I went, oh my God, it's never going to end. Now it will, so I'll tell it for the last time. It starts out, because my last name used to be Boyce, it's Kelly now, but he said, how many of you had Miss Boyce over at CY? And the kids would raise their hand. And he always told me, I wait until I'm halfway through the school year and the kids know me, because I can't just say this on the first day of school. He asked the kids, how many know Miss Boyce over at CY? And half the class I'd had, and he'd say, did you know was the beaver queen? Those who don't know, Minot State's mascot is the beaver, and it's still the beaver. And so that fall, I was voted by my peers, the football team, as homecoming queen. And I was in the parade next morning, and I'm going along, and Jeff tells a story how he and his football buddies are doing their pregame prep or sitting out on the front lawn in their boxers, and they're eating their SpaghettiOs and got the spoon in the can, and they're just eating it, and you look over and you go, hey, it's Mel! And I'm like, oh my God. So that's a memory I take with me always, and the kids who've had them have heard the story. They may not have known me, and that's fine. But yeah, so I get to go. He didn't take it to his grave. I was the beaver queen and queen of all the beavers, and it's kind of embarrassing, but now it's over. Thank you. Rest in peace, Jeff Jelskey.
So the first time I met Jelskey, I was about 5 years old. My aunt, Jelskey was my aunt's rebound teacher so that she could graduate on time. She used to take me to class with her every time, and I didn't know that I had known him for that long until she had called me and we were talking about, how sad we were over it. And I was like, that's who that was? That makes so much sense why I remember him as the Jolly Green Giant, the huge guy. But I'll make mine quick. My favorite memory of Jelskey, other than all of his Donald Trump rants and how we made him watch the Donald Trump China video that we tried to get him to watch for a week, and then afterwards he just never quit talking about it. My friends and I, we were trying to get a video of him, like, secretly. So it wasn't like he wasn't in any of the videos, but we just wanted to hear him rant about Donald Trump and just be able to remember it later, because his rants were our favorite, and that's why I think people started liking history, because they wanted to get his jokes, and if you weren't into politics, you didn't get his jokes. But I remember he was going on about Donald Trump, and he burps, and he goes, "I was gonna giggle, but I burped. I call it a biggle." And the whole class just starts busting out laughing. Out of all the stories and all the jokes that Jelskey ever made, I think that that's probably the most prominent one in my memory. And I know that we're all gonna miss him a lot, and I think the hardest thing for me is saying that, yeah, we're all gonna miss him, we all miss him, but I'm going to miss him. So, thank you.
So I first heard of Jelskey when it was my oldest brother's sophomore year, and he came home telling me how amazing this teacher was and how he just loved history now, and it's awesome to hear about that. And I was like, it's just a history teacher, please calm down. But little did I know that my freshman year I would meet the most amazing teacher I have met so far. And I have numerous stories, but one of my favorite ones is he was subbing for my class one day, and we're watching this video. Of course, he's stopping it and then sitting back down and getting up and stopping it, sitting back down. And meanwhile, there's a girl across the room that's pretty much doing the same thing. She will not sit down. And he comes over to me and he goes, "Is she on drugs?" And I go, "No." I say, "No, she's just hyper." And he goes, "Are you sure? Because at this point, crack really is whack." And it's awesome how one person can make me laugh so much in 1 year. And last time I saw him was the last night of Follies, where he came up and he gave me a big ol' high five and he said, "You did awesome." And I wanted to talk with him more, but I knew he had other stuff that he needed to do. So one of my favorite things Jelskey would do is say, he'd see me in the hallway and he'd always go, "What's with that face? You should smile more." And I think that's a lesson that we should all take today, and that we should all smile more, and we should remind each other how much we love another. So I'm gonna miss Jelskey.
I'll be quick. I was Jelskey's student in 2010. And if you'd asked me then, I would have said the same thing. He hated our class and he hated me. And every day I went in there and we got in these arguments and we'd be up each other's throat. And I don't remember what a single one was about or what either of us said. But by the end of the year, instead of going in there and giving half the effort and getting by just fine and skating through, I was working hard every single day. And to this day, I'd never worked harder on preparing a document than my final for his class. And I got a D. And I used that paper in college more than once, and I got graded well, but what I realize now, and only through his death, is that he gave me a D just so that I realized that sometimes my minimal effort wasn't enough, and he required more than that. And he did out of all of his students, so that's how I remember Jelskey.
I knew Jelskey my sophomore year, so about 2 years ago. And I didn't know him all that well, and I haven't really talked to him a lot recently, but I do remember that we had a lot of political debates, and he and I are polar opposites when it comes to what we believe. And I loved having those debates with him because he was always kind, he always listened pretty well, and that was a great memory for me, and I'll miss him.
Okay, so most people don't know me. I'll try speaking loud because I'm too short. But Mr. Jelskey was covered for one of my classes, and he was telling us one day that Mr. Swenson, he was covering his class, and he was saying how Mr. Swenson went to therapy because he needed mental therapy. And he ended up making that whole class a rant about fidget spinners, and then I pulled mine out, and he's like, of course you had to pull yours out. And then Mr. Swenson came back and he left. And then that Saturday, it was Saturday school, and I was getting behind on my science class. And so he was helping me with it. And I was like, hey, are you going to go to Follies? And he was like, yeah, I'm going to call Zach, Mr. Schneider. And he called Mr. Schneider, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to go. I'm excited to see you perform. And then I performed, and then after the show, he's like, you did a really good job, and I'm proud of you. But yeah.
Oh God, Mr. Jelskey, I don't know where to start. Every Saturday, I'm just glad he would give up his Saturday mornings to help other students get things done. It was just a Saturday before he passed. He was helping me with a history assignment for Mr. Prop's class. And instead of helping me, he was actually just making jokes. Oh God. I've heard multiple stories of Mr. Jelskey coming into Mr. Prop's class, like any class. He was giving a lecture about kids on their phones, and Mr. Jelskey would come in and just start making jokes or telling stories, and he's going to be dearly missed, I can say that right now.
So Holly and I graduated in 2012, but that was not the last time that we've been to this school. On many occasions, we were like, we need to go see Jelskey. It's been a while. So we would. And even though we graduated many years ago, he would still, we would notice that a video was playing, so outside the classroom, he would sit down and still ask us about our life and make sure that we were on the right path. And we appreciated it very much that even though we're not his students anymore, he always made sure that we were still doing really well. Since he's not here, I felt like I had to say something for, if anyone knows, Tony Gonzalez. He was one of those students that he was a little out there, and Jelskey just knew exactly how to handle him. And every day, Tony would walk into the class and he would just holler at Jelskey, and ski is usually what he would call him. And although Jelskey would shake his head at him, he helped Tony a lot, and he knew exactly how to handle him. And that's who Jelskey is. He knew how to handle each and every kid, and he was amazing.
All right. We have a few more minutes, but before time got away from us and before too many people left, Jeff's family wanted to say a few words, and then if we have some time when they're done, we'll definitely open up the floor. So right now, Jeff's brothers, Ron and Mark, their nephew, Skip, and Jerry, come on in.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Skipton Jelskey, and Jeff Jelskey was my uncle. This is my father, Mark Jelskey, my uncle, Ryan Jelskey, and our very, very close family friend and non-DNA brother, as Scott would say, Jerry Young. And just down on the crowd right there is my great uncle, Galen, all the way up from Florida. We first want to thank everyone in Casper, Wyoming, and around the area who have traveled far and wide to make it here today, as well as the many people who were loved by and loved Jeff that couldn't make it here today, but are still listening and here in spirit. My Uncle Jeff was a very enthusiastic, caring, and loving man that would always be there and listen when I or someone else needed it. He was more than just an uncle, he was a friend. I remember when I was young and he would come to Calgary, Canada to visit, there was always anticipation in the air that excited me because I knew he was racing up north to spend time with his family. With his exaggerated sense of humor that was complemented by his crazy stories and his warm bear hug that made you always feel welcomed and loved, he was there for us. I remember he would always, in a playful manner, pick me up as a child and flip me right upside down. But as a clever 6-year-old, I would have my revenge. I would await the time when his defensive football stance was on intermission as he slept. To his surprise, I would lunge my body right onto his stomach. He would awaken a frenzy and a panic and yelling out words of a profoundly diverse vocabulary that I would not know the meaning of until later. After the shock settled, he would take up his defense's linebacker position again and flip me upside down to even up the odds. But for a minute, I had my victory. Later in life, he came up to visit again with Uncle Galen. A few years ago, we as a family, including my dad, Uncle Ron, and Jerry, went out for libations and cheerful times at the local watering hole. AKA, we got really drunk at the bar. Anyways, I was craving something a little more milder, so when the waitress came over and asked for our drink orders, I confidently asked for a chocolate milk. My Uncle Jeff glanced at me, cocked one of his eyebrows up, and said, "Are you serious?" He then took me aside, put his teaching skills to the test, and gave me a quick lesson on bar etiquette. Luckily, the embarrassment would dissipate when spontaneously karaoke blazed into the room. After about a couple songs in and the most horrid Cher impression I have ever heard in my entire life, we left the bar with our dignity intact. And I left with a very important lesson in etiquette taught to me by my uncle, the history teacher, Jeff Jelskey. As the years passed, even though we were hundreds of miles away, we were close. Every time we finished talking on the phone, he would always wish me goodbye by saying, "I love you, man." The void without him in life will never quite be filled. I will miss his welcoming demeanor, his embracing hug, his patience when I asked for his advice about women or life or simply just to talk. He will forever be missed, and we all loved him beyond words can describe. There are so many, many people here and afar that we would like to thank for all the support, company, and love you have supplied to us. As well, we want to thank you, Nantron High, for welcoming us and being here with all your support. Thank you for everyone who's come up and spoke about my uncle. It's amazing to hear these stories because we're miles away, and It's so good to hear about his life down in Casper. And it's not easy to come up as a high school student and talk in front of all these people. Thank you so much for that. The amount of welcoming hospitality we received from Casper and from all who have been involved with Jeff, we are truly thankful for all of you. You have been so supportive, and we wish we could thank you all individually, but the sheer volume of people has been so vast that leaving anyone out would be a crime, because there was just so much help within these last couple of days. It's been phenomenal. So we wanted to thank everyone who has been there in these stressful times as a whole. Thank you. You know who you are, and we thank you from the deepest depth of our hearts. I know Uncle Jeff Jelskey is watching somewhere with love and is proud of each and every one of you that have helped us and each other in our times of need. If he was physically here to give everyone in this room a great big beer hug, I know he would be there for every single one of you and for us. Thank you.
Yes, my name's Mark. Jeff and I were so close. I just talked to him on the last Thursday. He was concerned about my welfare. He was like that to a lot of people. And yeah, I do miss him. I was lucky enough to see him at Christmas time. We all got together and had a nice dinner together and that. And I got to get down here at Thanksgiving last year too. That's the most I saw my baby brother in a while, within a month or so. So it was great. You're all happy together and having a great time. So I will definitely miss my little brother. And I want to thank everybody that came out, and everybody in Casper. You've been so great. You know, all the support and all that. So we will remember all of you here as much as we can. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming and sharing stories. I know that each of you has a ton more, and we ask that you continue sharing them, not just today, but every day. I know that I will. Thank you for coming, and Jeff would want you to know that he loves you, and as do we all. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.